I share what I'm listening to and my thoughts on music and the business daily for free at helloyassine.com. What's poppin', y'all? It looks like Drake had to whip the people in the OVO sweatshop back into shape because PartyNextDoor decided to get out of line by coming at Tory Lanez. So Tory Lanez, this guy's recording in jail during riots breaking out because on February 20th, Tory Lanez was on a phone call and he praised the weekend PartyNextDoor and Drake and said that he was really motivated to start dropping because of them. I posted this on my IG. And then following this up, Tory Lanez also starts freestyling or recording a song in jail. So I'm gonna play you guys that clip right now.
All right, tell me right. I'm right now. I gotta go up. Tell me, you ready?
Ready.
Hey, I can't say I'm the same from last year. You can see the pain inside my eyes and I can't mask it. We was cutting metal off the bone so we could stash it. 500 on his Zello, make him do gymnastics. Seen that nigga run out to the yard and he got backflip. Crying in the cell so many nights that I got trapped in. I love him, it's morning and I got trapped in. He got another night that morning I got
So yeah, in the middle of this clip, fight breaks out or a riot breaks out. It's probably just a fight. He has to get up. I would normally say that, man, this gotta be set up. Also, this guy's on Safari. Like, do people not got computers or something? Like, you're on Safari opening this thing up? Like, man, I didn't even know you could do that. But I guess iPhones have improved. So this happens. And then on an IG Live must be a Henny-fueled rant. PartyNextDoor, which is ironic because there's that photo of PartyNextDoor right next to Academics. And people were saying these are the same guy, which is, it's a funny photo. But he reacts just like Academics. And he's on IG Live, must be off the Henny. And he says the following, taking shots at somebody. And then this kid, taking shots at Tory Lanez, basically. He says, I'm not y'all friends. Stop saying my name. F what Tory Lanez say. I'm running that. I did everything he did. He's just a running man. Drama man. I'm the daddy. Pause on that. Let me slap you, okay. You said I sound like Young Thug. You sound like me. One day you'll be me. And we can't play too much of the song, but this was odd because he didn't take shots at PartyNextDoor. And then PartyNextDoor also accuses him of copying Meek Mill's sound, which is outrageous because, like Tory Lanez said while he was free, how I copy somebody's sound that I wrote for. And I'm inclined to believe that Tory Lanez did write for Meek Mill, since we've seen Meek Mill reference tracks drop. That was one of the most embarrassing things of the beef. And Drake had to have tapped PND on the shoulder and said, hey, buddy, what's going on here? Because Drake has been showing love to Tory. Tory's been showing love to Drake. It is terrible optics right now to beef with Tory Lanez, especially if you're Drake. You don't need any more enemies or somebody aligned with Drake. So Drake hit up PartyNextDoor, and it must have been Henny fueled because PartyNextDoor, he got on the next day, walked back the disc, quickest walk back ever. At Tory Lanez, I was told about what you said without hearing your video for myself. You didn't say anything that I wouldn't say myself. Now that I seen it, I was wrong. City is stronger together. This is mature, but this is the thing. What you said is what you believe. Otherwise, you wouldn't have said it. He didn't make something up. So now we know what PartyNextDoor really feels like about Tory Lanez. And I don't know, like, how you singing a diss, man? Like, what the hell is going on here? But with that being said, Tory's really undefeated in these beefs with guys. Like, he has PartyNextDoor walking back the diss. He pulled up on Travis Scott. Travis Scott didn't want any smoke. He pulled up on Dax. Let's not forget that situation. Pulled up the stick on Dax too. He washed Joyner Lucas in that rap beef where they just dropped diss tracks. So what beef has he really lost? Maybe against Drake, but Drake kind of just tossed him to the side like a little brother. And he was inspired by Drake for sure when it comes to the music. They didn't really have an actual beef, so we can't throw that in there. But PartyNextDoor, relating this back to Academics, there are so many times when Academics has just gone off on somebody without reading more context, without watching the actual video, like in the situation with Blackboy Max. He's like, yo, you called me a weirdo. He's like, I didn't call you a weirdo. I said what you did was weird. He's like, oh, no. And then like 20 minutes later, he's like, you called me a weirdo. Bro, I never called you a weirdo. So they seem to have this similarity. Like, yo, how are you just going to go off of some internet headline or what somebody sends you and then make a statement dissing somebody as a public figure, knowing it's going to spread without even listening to what was said? That is, either you ignore it or you listen to it and then address it. But hey, some people, I guess they just don't do the basics. Realistically, though, it's good for their city, but people don't really associate PartyNextDoor. Well, they do associate Drake with Toronto, but they're not saying, yo, Toronto is lit because Tory's doing his thing and PartyNextDoor and Drake. They're more so saying those guys are doing their thing, not Toronto. It's got to be like a new crop of artists that pop out of there for people to really say, oh, something's going on here. Like, for example, in Orlando, I think it was Orlando, Florida, northern Florida, where those guys, Young and Ace and them came from, and Julio Fulio. That was a thing for about a year and a half, partially because they were just massacring each other, or Duval County, wherever that's from. And they were just massacring each other, but it was new artists that had popped out of there that had some buzz going on, and they all got locked up. I think there are some people still making music, but the enticing aspect of it all was that there was violence and killing. But that's a scene that popped up. LA, for instance, like, people aren't going to say, oh, Game is associated with LA, obviously. But there's this new crop of artists that's helped by No Jumper. They're kind of I wouldn't say they're localized to the West Coast, but they are the premier platform that is putting on the West Coast to a wider audience. So people associate Lefty Gunplay and all these other acts with the West Coast, and they're like, okay, there's something going on in the West Coast right now. As for Toronto, it's just these stars. And Tory Lanez, I do think these are good moments for him. Even though PartyNextDoor is coming at him and pulling it back, Tory Lanez getting press continued is good, because it's so easy to forget about you while you're behind bars and when you don't have the system supporting you. For instance, Young Thug, he had, number one, he's not locked up, and while your trial is going on, all eyes are on you. But once you're behind bars, it's really hard to sustain attention. And when you're independent like Tory Lanez, man, a label's not going to spend any money. You don't have a label, and you're not trying to spend any money on promotion like that because, hell, you're behind bars, man. You got a lot of other expenses that you've got to worry about. But what I'm the most interested in is, how is Tory Lanez going to roll out an album? I don't know. If the quality is not there, I just feel like Tory's talent is just going to go wasted inside there. And what's the deal with this appeal? Like, what happened with the appeal? Hopefully PartyNextDoor and... Wait, are we going to get a PartyNextDoor and Drake tour? Because remember how we kept hearing about... By the way, I'm just going to start yapping right now. So if you want to leave, you could leave. But when are we going to get that tour? Because PartyNextDoor has got to go on tour with Drake if he goes on tour again at all, which he should. He hasn't been on tour since the last album, I think. And this new album is majority just Drake. And we remember that Drake had this Live Nation deal where they've got him constantly going on tour. That tour will be wild. Wild in the sense that I think it's just going to be majority chicks. I don't think we're going to have that wide-ranging Drake audience where he's going on tour by himself and you get anyone from old people to young kids because they've all got a hit song that they want to check out. These guys are probably just going to do a lot of PartyNextDoor and more R&B side Drake and songs from this album, which I do think will have some staying power for at least the next 6 to 9 months. But that's something I'm interested in seeing how that rolls out, because Drake's got a lot to get handled, especially if he's working on another album. How is it going to fare if he needs to go on tour for this project too? And if he doesn't go on tour for this project, that's a missed opportunity for P&D for a bunch of money. But let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Go to helloyassine.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Peace.